Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Cookiecast. Today on Cookiecast, it's our NFL podcast, Laces Out. Just me and Paul in the studio today, but we've got picks from our guest and all the stuff from last week and all the stuff from this week. So here we go, this is Cookiecast, NFL podcast, Laces Out. And we are off. Oh, cheeky. Definitely should have got a drink. Oh! Right. As you can tell from our attire, it's Hoodie and Shirt podcast.
Yeah, buddy.
Brought to you by the people at Next.
TK Maxx, this was from.
TK Maxx.
TK Maxx.
To-
What place?
To the max.
The place where dreams come true, very much.
I don't think that's true.
I mean, it has to be slightly true.
Does it?
I think so. Just because, that's the second TK Maxx conversation I've had in the space of 5 days.
8 minutes.
All stemmed from the fact that it's owned by TJ Maxx in the States. But there used to be a shop in the UK called TJ Hughes, and apparently the people who opened the UK arm of TJ Maxx didn't want it to be confusing, so they called it TK.
Okay.
There you go. Educating you people. Don't say we never give you anything. We're giving out stuff all the time. Knowledge bombs. We're dropping knowledge bombs all over the place.
It's true. Right, so it is Cookiecast, Yorkshire's number one NFL podcast. We are
Numero uno, baby.
Loads of guests here. For you audio listeners, there are loads of guests here. For you people watching on YouTube, you know that we are lying.
The room is overflowing with
They can't
nobody.
in the room. So it's coming down to the wire. It's getting close. This is the time of year that is simultaneously the season's a lot more exciting, but you can also see the end creeping over the hill.
Well, so what is it? So there's 4 weeks worth of games left in the regular season.
Wow.
And then we have... So after this next 4 weeks, there'll only be 5... Well, technically 5 weeks to the Super Bowl. But it will be on that 5th week. Because you've got...
That's all it is now.
So you've got Wild Card Week, Conference Week, Championship Week, Bye Week, or Pro Bowl Week, then the Super Bowl.
Wow.
What we should do at the end of... maybe at the end of this week. Maybe not. What I was going to say was we should have a periodical check to see how our Super Bowl prediction is shaping up.
Yeah.
I think
obviously we picked at the beginning of the season.
I think technically...
No balls had been kicked at that point.
I think technically everyone's still in pretty good shape.
We are all in good stead. MVP-wise...
I don't think anyone's got a chance. Unless
Super-Bowl-wise,
someone absolutely nailed it and picked Russell Wilson or Lamar Jackson, I don't think any of us are getting anywhere near. Mine is well out of the running, as he missed 3 or 4 games. I don't know who. I can't remember who you picked.
I think I picked Mahomes. Or Breeze, maybe.
So you're in the same boat as me. The guy you picked missed 3 or 4 games.
Do you know something? Rather than sitting here and
guessing.
Ah.
I definitely picked Mahomes.
2 picks for Mahomes, and I did pick Breeze.
Did Stu have Mahomes as well then?
Yes, he did.
I see. Educated chap, obviously.
So,
last week in the NFL.
all of us are still in with a shot with a Super Bowl and a Super Bowl winner. We've all gone for different winners of the Super Bowl.
So I think I went Saints Chiefs.
You did.
That's looking a bit sketchy.
So did Stu. So, but you've each picked a different winner. I, on the other hand, went Patriots Saints, and no guesses who I picked as the winner on that one.
Obviously the Saints. Yeah, it's all shaping up pretty well. I think obviously we've all completely glossed over the Ravens in the AFC, but
if you go back now, if you cast your mind back now, if you were given 10 picks for possible teams, at what spot would the Ravens have appeared? Would they have even appeared in that 10?
Well, they weren't even the favourites for their division, were they? That was the Browns, so who knows?
So you are correct. We should be discussing what happened last week in week 13 of the NFL 2019 season. Anything standing out for you?
Nothing massively important, I suppose. I mean, the most sort of like in-depth thing happened last night when Rivera was given his
so at this point,
given his walk-in papers.
At this time yesterday, it would have been breaking news that Ron Rivera has been told 9 seasons is all you get with us, I'm afraid, pal.
It's not welcome anymore.
I often feel a bit weird about the way that coaches are treated in the NFL because it's all put on them. I think it's probably safe to say that Jason Garrett won't see another season.
I mean, if you go through it, they normally say that roughly a quarter of the teams change head coach every season. So you've already had Gruden and Rivera have already gone. Mm-hmm. So that only leaves another 6 to change.
Yep.
Everyone's saying that Pat Shermer will probably go from the Giants because he's had 2 pretty mediocre seasons.
I feel that is it Jones?
Dan Jones, the quarterback.
Probably like bringing him in and the way he's played and like he's actually looked quite good in a lot of games. I think that's probably overshadowed that there's something fundamentally wrong at the Giants. And it always comes down to the head coach.
They're one of those teams that could probably just do with a complete clear out and start again, to be honest with you. But I think there's talks that Doug Marrone at the Jags will probably be given the boot. I mean, you could argue that like Freddie Kitchens at Cleveland, it hasn't really worked out the way they'd hoped. There'll be others as well.
I mean, once we hit that off season,
Patricia at the Lions has had 2 pretty terrible seasons.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But we are entering sacking season, and apparently I think they call it. Is it Black Monday? They call it.
Yeah.
The Monday after the season finishes.
You're all fired. Get out.
So we'll see. Yeah, you won't be surprised to hear if I think Jason Garrett's definitely in that Super Bowl or bust position. So,
and at this point, I saw a picture yesterday, and it was like 2 hands, like 2 cartoon hands, and I think it was like the Seahawks, Patriots, 10-2, 10-2, then a load more hands on top, and it was like your 9-3 team. Like Chiefs, Saints, all that sort of thing. And then just this, like the last picture was this giant purple hand coming down. Cowboys. 6 and 6. And then it just cuts to like all these cartoon characters looking at this giant purple thing, and he's just like.
But this is the thing.
Not,
so like,
not happening, mate.
So they're still getting in the playoffs due to the fact that they're leading the division. So
they are.
It doesn't really matter. I suppose it's that weird thing of they can probably play as badly as they want to during the season, and if they somehow manage to make it in the playoffs with the worst record going, who knows that for 3 games they could, 4 games I suppose technically, they could have absolutely incredible weeks. So
they could. The likelihood.
It's a lottery at the end of the day. Once you get down to the actual playoffs, it's just literally, it's the old adage of just take each game as it comes. See what happens.
Yeah. I had there was a couple of sort of standouts for me. Unfortunately, I remembered something, but when I've looked through today's stats, it's actually in the stats, so we'll probably discuss it there. I watched 2 games. The Seahawks-Vikings was... Again, every season there's a game where, they go, if you've got a friend that's not into the NFL, show them this game. And that, for me, I was like, if you want to show somebody a proper, one side to the other sort of game, that would have been a good one. And I think it was the...
Niners Ravens?
49ers versus the Ravens.
That was always going to be a good game. It looked like it was a bit weather affected, but
yeah,
I went to someone's house because it was his birthday, and he's a Steelers fan, so we watched the Steelers-Browns game, and at the same time there was a Dolphins fan and an Eagles fan there, so we had the Dolphins-Eagles on the other TV because he had 2 TVs set up. So unfortunately we missed all the Ravens 49ers stuff.
Ooh.
Which is a bit of a shame. So we saw all the highlights as it sort of flashed up during the games.
Red Zone was hilarious on Sunday because you could tell that they were like, so we just want to watch the 49ers Ravens game, but we are aware that there are other games happening. We just don't care.
Excellent.
So they were like, here's the 49ers Ravens, here's the 49ers Ravens, here's what. Oh, and there's another team doing another thing.
Oh, Carolina scored, but we'll come back to that.
To the Ravens, and it was like, well, fair on you. This is the game we want to see. I mean, it was those 2 games that week were worldy. Like I say, there was another thing that stood out, but it is in the stats. I did a small amount of looking at the stats. So. If you haven't got anything, I'll jump to the stats. What I will say is I have had a look. There are a few. Some of them, they're quite short, punchy, but there are a few. I will try and rattle through them, but I do feel like... I was thinking today, I was like, how can I make the stats a bit more punchy? Mm-hmm. And I was like, maybe I'll just do, top 5 stats or something. And then I read the stats for this week, and I was like, they're all quite good. NFL Stats Week 13, the 2019 season, provided to us by the Stats Mistress herself, provided to her by Nate Davis of USA Today. Number 1. Congratulations to the Saints, who became the first team to clinch a playoff berth by beating Atlanta on Thanksgiving night to sew up the NFC South for the 3rd consecutive year. Well done. Congratulations. Number 2. Condolences to the Dolphins, Lions, Cardinals, Falcons and Giants, who all joined the Bengals as teams officially eliminated from postseason consideration. I was having a conversation with Tim today about players that you've got in your fantasy league that are now on teams who officially don't need to try anymore.
Interesting.
And those teams will look at those players and go, well, that's like a franchise player. They'd be like, well, we don't want them injured, so you go and sit on that bench over there, my friend. It's stuff like that you've got to sort of...
Was one of those main people Julio Jones by any chance? Because there was talk, I think, of the Falcons potentially shutting him down for the season because they've been eliminated from the playoffs, so they can't. So there's no point in him playing and getting injured and so on.
Obviously, Julio Jones is a fantasy football staple, so it's a bit of that. 3. Pay homage to the epic 2011 draft class before it's gone. Cam Newton, Von Miller, Julio Jones, JJ Watt and AJ Green are all currently sidelined with injuries. I know last season, 2018, we were talking that it was an injury-heavy season. Obviously, the one that stands out was Todd Gurley went out with an injury, and that was devastating to certain people that had him in their fantasy team. So things like that. This has felt like just I said it last week. I'll have said it previous to that, but a year where Big Ben's not a factor, you're like, doesn't feel right. If he'd have retired, you could have sort of had that closure almost.
Yeah. Well, I think it's weird, isn't it? Because he's coming off the fact that he was the passing leader in the league last season. Mm-hmm. He had like 5,200 yards, something. Mm-hmm. So he's come off that, and he's basically not played pretty much at all. Did he? He started the first game, and obviously he got injured.
So I was reading something, and I was like, "Is that right? That he was injured in week 1?" Mm-hmm. It's like, I thought he played longer. I thought it was like 2 or 3 games. But
some people even had to overcome that adversity in fantasy and scramble to find a quarterback or several quarterbacks.
It's been a huge detriment.
We'll come to that later.
We will. Number 4. With Lions rookie David Blau and Broncos rookie Drew Lock making their NFL debuts, the league has now seen 53 starting quarterbacks in 2019.
That's outrageous.
That's a lot.
I'm just trying to think if there's potential for that to go up as well. If there's other teams that have got other options that they want to see if it works out with. But I can't really think of anyone who's not started or at least...
Well, if the Jags hadn't made the decision that they've made this week, they might have gone a different way rather than putting the moustache back in. Anyway, the AFC playoff picture began to crystallise, it would seem. It currently appears the Texans, Titans and Steelers will be battling for the conference's 2 final slots. Interesting. Meanwhile, the NFC field looks settled. Entering week 13, but the Rams showed signs of a resurrection by beating Arizona and will now be rooting for the rival Seahawks on Monday night. Obviously, this has been written before those games are played. Mm-hmm. Now then, number 7. I like number 7. Number 7 is Tom Brady's consternation is clearly growing as concerns surrounding the suddenly vulnerable Patriots beaten Sunday night by the Texans for only the second time. The reigning champs have now lost control of the AFC's top seed, and a defence that once looked historically good may now be struggling to cover for a middling at best offence. And that could be bad news with Patrick Mahomes and Kansas City next on the docket. And salutations to Deshaun Watson and co, who masterfully put the Pats on their heels. I mean, I watched that game. I watched the highlights of that game, and the Patriots looked terrible. They've
not been getting it done all season.
They haven't. But offense, it was Brady to Edelman, Brady to Edelman, Brady to Edelman, Brady to Edelman. I was like, oh, did somebody say recently that they hide Edelman in the team and then when it gets to a point that they need him, they just bring him out and use him for every play? But they looked really bad. It's one of those, they deserve to lose that game. And if they carry on like that, they deserve to continue losing games. This Chiefs game is going to be very interesting. Number 8. If Sunday's 49ers-Ravens game was a Super Bowl preview, we'll have another helping, please. San Francisco showed it as the defence and aggressive coaching from Kyle Shanahan to potentially counter Baltimore's Lamar Jackson's led offence. Justin Tucker's 49-yard field goal at the gun gave Baltimore a 2017 verdict in suboptimal weather. The 3-time All-Pro has made 38 consecutive fourth-quarter field goals. Justin Tucker.
Yeah, he's pretty much the the number one kicker in the game.
He is, but I heard a stat which I thought was strange, considering who it was. Was it the kicker for the Vikings?
Van Bailey?
Yes, has the best kicking percentage in the league.
Mm-hmm.
I was like...
He used to play for the Cowboys, and he'd been at the Cowboys like long enough where he was he's the most accurate kicker in the league, apparently.
Yeah. Number 9 continues from the last one. Jackson ran for 101 yards. The first time a quarterback has posted 4 100-yard rushing games in a season and needs just 63 to break Michael Vick's single-season record for the position. Was it you that said to me that the NFL is now having to make stats for Lamar Jackson? Because stats for
well,
that...
they just love stats, don't they? They just love coming out with a different stat that makes absolutely no sense. Something like that, but
again, the Ravens, 49 touchdowns are already their most in regular season, with 4 games still left to play.
Outrageous.
Just ridiculous. Again, this must have been written before Monday, because it says if the Seahawks win Monday, they will move into position as the NFC's 2nd seed, elevating the Saints into the top spot while dropping the 49ers to 5th. That's bonkers.
But this is what happened last season to the Chargers. So the Chargers were like chugging away, always because they were behind the Chiefs. Played the Chiefs in, I think, week 15 or something like that and beat them. I think they beat them with like a last-minute field goal, and they were level on the record with them. But because the Chiefs had beaten them earlier in the season and had a slightly harder schedule, they got the tiebreaker as far as I'm aware. So they ended up being the number 1 seed. Patriots were the number 2 seed, and the Chargers, even though they had the joint best record in the whole of the NFL, with the number 5 seed in the playoffs. I don't like how the seedings are for the playoffs. They should still do it where the 4 division winners for the AFC and the NFC do still qualify, and then you have got the 2 best runners up, whatever you want to class it as. But then once it gets to that, it should be the best records take the top seeding slots and stuff like that. So you wouldn't have a position where a team can win like 13 games or whatever and still only end up being the 5th seed. They should be the joint. Yeah. They should be in the top 2 slots, basically.
It's utter madness. Number 12. Props to the Dolphins, who have won 3 of 5 after an unsightly 0-7 start. Their upset of the Eagles included perhaps the special teams play of the year. This was the thing that I was going to bring up. I mean, I can say in all the time I've been watching, this could be. It will be forever in my memory. I'll be going, do you remember that time the Dolphins had that play? So P-Matt Hack throwing K. Johnson Sanders, or kicker, Jason Sanders even, a nifty 1-yard touchdown pass on one of the better fake field goals you'll see. Sanders became the first kicker to catch a touchdown in 42 years. But it was just the flick.
So, who did that touchdown get scored against?
So the Dolphins were playing the Eagles.
Didn't the Eagles do
the masters of fake plays?
So they actually covered this in the game, and they showed clips of all the sort of fake or special team touchdowns that the Eagles had conceded this season. It's happened on 4 occasions now. So obviously the Eagles did it in the Super Bowl, and then ever since then they've just been getting fucking pummeled. Yeah. By people like pulling out fakes and like special teams players as well.
The Seahawks had one as well. They had a fake field goal.
What, on Monday night?
Yeah.
And I've not seen any of the game.
And the kicker was just like they faked it, and everybody went that way, and the kicker just went like that.
Nice. I can't remember for definite, but I think that Johnny Hecker might have had a fake punt where he made a completion in the Super Bowl for the Rams last year.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember for definite, but I think that's what happened.
Number 30. The magic of television. Fox's field overlay amid snowy conditions at MetLife Stadium made the viewing experience of Packers-Giants far superior, given the harsh marks and yard lines were otherwise invisible for large stretches of the game.
Again, didn't see much of it as we weren't watching Red Zone, but every now and again it cut back to it. It was like, ooh.
It was weird. Because they were saying that they hadn't done anything to remove the snow.
Interesting.
Which, it was like, oh, okay. Because it wasn't snowing, it just had snowed.
Oh.
It's like, just clear the field.
Maybe they were waiting up until like kick-off and then just...
Yeah, but
like,
the overlay graphics that they put on was weird. It was like there was greys and also it was really weird to look at. Number 14, Saints' third string quarterback, Taysom Hill, the first quarterback to rush for a touchdown and catch a touchdown pass in the same game in 36 years. Hill, who also deflected a punt against Atlanta, has scored 5 touchdowns this season, but has yet to toss his first NFL touchdown pass.
I'm intrigued by this guy, because he's not the backup, like you just said there, he's the third string quarterback. But he does seem to get involved in a lot of plays. He seems to be their sort of like third down trick man.
Yeah.
So he's always in there as either a receiver or as like a fake...
I suppose it's one of those. If your quarterback is Drew Brees and you've got a backup, as a third string quarterback, you're probably working on the principle that the chances, the actual chance of you getting a game is limited. So you're like, well, what if we practice like this or that or the other? You know, just mix it up.
They usually, the more often than not, I think the sort of the backup or the third string quarterback is more often than not the holder for the kicker, because I think Tony Romo started off as the holder for the Cowboys, because there's a thing back in the playoffs, and I think it's like mid-2000s where the Cowboys were a field goal away from getting to the NFC Championship game, or possibly it might have been the round before, but they were playing the Seahawks and he muffed the snap, he muffed the hold. So then I had to pick it up and try to run for the 2-point conversion. Try to run for the first down or try to run for the touchdown or whatever. But yeah, it's usually the third string quarterbacks are usually the hold.
15. Oh, this looks like a meeting. The Bills also feature one of the league's most underrated receivers in John Smokey Brown, who got an excellent chance to be Buffalo's first to surpass 1,200 yards since Lee Evans in 2006. Because of the first wide-out in franchise history to throw a touchdown pass after connecting with Devin Singletary and threw the block and put Allen into the end zone against Dallas. Please, let's put Smokey into the Pro Bowl.
There you go.
It wouldn't be the stats if we didn't have this guy to talk about. 16, Saints wide receiver Michael Thomas dropped a pass, ending a streak of 198 receptions without a drop per ESPN Stats and Info.
Someone took umbrage with that, and they were like, that's not actually true, because apparently he dropped one earlier in the season.
I thought that. When I was reading that, I was like, I think he's dropped one previously. But,
so yeah, there's talk it's not true, etc. etc.
Number 17, the Rams, 549 yards in Arizona, were 7 shy of their most gained during the Sean McVay era. The Rams are weird this season. I mean, fair enough, if you're a team that's struggling at various points through the season, now is the time to put the pedal to the floor and actually get your freaking finger out. I don't know. I've had issues with the Rams this season. Number 18, Giants rookie quarterback Daniel Jones has now committed 21 turnovers in 11 games. However, Jones's 2,374 passing yards present a new record among Giants rookies. Like I said, he's just a rookie, isn't he?
I suppose he needs to sort of get the mistakes out of his game, doesn't he? I suppose to move forward.
But the only way he'll do that is by playing.
Yeah, exactly.
And 19th and final stat, you might be pleased to hear. The Jets had 10 more penalties than red zone trips Sunday while becoming the first team to lose to Cincinnati in 2019. Congratulations to those Bengals and rookie coach Zach Taylor after they finally broke into the win column after a franchise worst 0-11 start. And congratulations to reinstated quarterback Andy Dalton, who threw his 198th career touchdown pass on Sunday.
Apparently that puts him number one all-time Bengals quarterback for touchdowns. Didn't realise that. Which I thought was a bit harsh when they benched him when he was one touchdown shy or something like that, or a couple of touchdowns shy of the record.
Yeah.
So, it's a little bit bogus, but yeah, you never know. He might, I suppose the idea is that if he plays well between now and the end of the season, that he might get a new starting gig somewhere else. You'd imagine that someone would take a little chance. Someone would probably take a chance on him, but we'll see. The Red Rifle.
The Red Rifle. Wow. That is the stats for week 13 of the 2019 season.
Stats done and dusted.
They were good. I felt they were good stats this
Exquisite.
week. In a week where I was like, I need to make them a bit punchier. And then I was like, no, they're good stats. I'm just going to talk a little bit of fantasy. So, for the fantasy, if you are in a fantasy league, you will already know this. For our fantasy league, it came down to the wire, kids. There was big change.
Well, it came down to the wire for some people. I mean, some of us were already safely in the playoffs, safely locked in as the number one seed. So,
yes, that was a thing.
Just saying, bro.
That was a thing. It basically it came down to a situation where I needed to win. I needed to beat the Stats Mistress to keep myself in the playoffs. I needed others to lose. I needed all sorts of things to happen. On Monday, the Sin Bin's only member, Mr. Timothy Lacey, and myself had a conversation where it looked a little different to that. Initially, I was like, I need to win, and either Matt Moore or James need to lose, and that's fine for me. Unfortunately, at that point in time, I was not going to win. However, it turned out that if one of them lost, Matt or James, that would
open the door, so
that would keep the door open for some of us. I believe that
I can tell you now that James most certainly did not lose.
James didn't lose, which I thought was interesting. Me and the Stats Mistress, I had already lost before the end of the games. I'd had everybody play. And I put a measly 60 points on the board. Stats Mistress blew that out of the wall with 74 points. She secured her position in the playoffs. Paul Williams went up against James Forrester Gray. Paul Williams had his third loss of the season. James taking another juicy win. Unfortunately for Mr. Moore, he was beaten by aforementioned Timothy Lacey. Other things like, Rob. What?
It's been a season to forget.
20
Mr.
points.
Rafton.
I don't even know how that's possible.
Hang on a second. What?
20 points.
That can't be right.
It's what he got.
That is
Bear
insane.
in mind that he is, as I keep saying, he is number one in our other league by a country mile. He's going to walk that league.
I don't understand what is
I don't know how it's possible.
Oh, well, to be fair, he had Julio Jones who was out of the game.
He's got 3 zeros, a 1 and a -1. I don't think any of that's going to help.
I mean, he is currently like bottom of our league, and he's had George Kittle all season.
George Kittle with his 1 point on.
I know, but George Kittle has been good also. I mean, he missed games.
I was going to say he had a bit of time out.
But, yeah, he's...
20 points.
That's insane. That could officially be the lowest score ever posted in fantasy.
What that did to our little fantasy league, which is a big fantasy league, is this. Paul Williams firmly ensconced. Firmly ensconced in the number 1 position. Nobody's touching that.
Kenta.
Joint second. Now here's where it gets interesting.
I've worked out why, by the way.
So, Tim said it was something to do with the percentage of wins.
I don't think it is.
But I think my 2 draws must count as a win.
Explain.
So,
and I'll come back to it.
3 people went to joint second, but as we were just talking, there are differences in the scores. So, James Forrester Gray secured second position. Myself, joint second. The Stats Mistress, joint second. Matthew Moore, unfortunately, vacated the playoffs. Sorry, Matt. I mean, it was nothing to do with me, other than I took one of those places. Here's where it gets interesting. James Forrester Gray's record is 8-5.
Correct.
I am next, which we'll come to. But below that is the Stats Mistress, who is 8-5. Me, sandwiched in the middle, a rose between 2 thorns, is 7, 4, and 2.
So, the mere fact that you have 2 ties basically equates to 1 win.
That's what I thought.
So your record is, to all intents and purposes,
8-5, 8-4.
Well, I suppose it's half a win and half a loss, isn't it?
Yeah, so it would be 8-5 or 7.
So 7.5, 4.5.
4.5.
So the reason why you are third in the league and Leanne is 4th is because
she scored less points.
Correct.
Yes.
So because you scored 1104 points compared to Leanne's 1,015, you take the higher position.
So, the way it looks for the playoffs, kids, is this. First round winners bracket. Stats Mistress taking on your co-host.
That's me.
And number 1.
Numero uno seed.
Paul Williams. In the other bracket, your host, Mr. Cook.
This guy.
Taking on James Forrester Gray. At this point in time, ladies and gentlemen, it looks a little bit something like this. I have done a little bit of a shuffle with my team for various different reasons. I had so many injured players, I couldn't move for injured players. So I made the decision to release some of those players and monkey around. And because of that, I had to wait for the waivers to clear. And because of that, I am currently showing an empty slot. According to the predictions, it is 82 points projected for me, 92 points projected for James, so he would take the win. Obviously, if I can find an amazing defence that's going to score 10 points, let's move on. The Stats Mistress going up against Mr. Williams. Stats Mistress is showing having no quarterback in at the moment and is going to be absolutely destroyed by Mr. Williams.
She does have a quarterback.
She owns, she usually has 3.
She only has 1 that I can see, Kirk Cousins.
Kyle Allen?
Oh yeah, forgot about him.
So
she has a decision to make. I'm assuming she's dropped a quarterback there.
I presume so.
Could be Jones. I believe Jones is injured.
Oh.
And if Jones is injured, therefore, Eli Manning will get the start on Sunday.
Bullshit.
Whoever thought you'd be saying that again?
Honestly, they're going to send a scarecrow out instead. Is it the first round that's just 1 week, and then the next round is 2? Or
two sets of 2-week games.
Because there's 4 weeks left of the regular
So it's
season.
14-15 is the first week of the playoffs, or the first round of the playoffs. 16-17 is the second round of the playoffs.
Oh, this is the bit I hate. Tune in to find out who moves on to the next round, and who will be our fantasy league.
Bye-bye.
Who will be our fantasy league finalist, and who will definitely get a trophy.
I'm saying nothing.
It's probably for the best. Speaking of week 13, which we were a little while ago, as you guys know, us guys, me and Mr. Williams take on our guest, which sometimes is here and sometimes is not. Sometimes it's the same person, sometimes it's a different person. Last week, myself and Mr. Williams took on the Stats Mistress. I'm not going to drag it out. That's how I'm going to call it. There were some interesting games. At the end of the day, when everybody picks the Patriots to win, some people pick some teams, other people pick other teams. I think everybody picked the Jets, everybody picked the Panthers, so on and so forth. It's a lower week. Only one person made it into double figures. The scores are: our guest gets the lowest score of the week with 8 points.
Oh, dear.
Our glamorous co-host gets the second lowest with 9. And your industrious leader, Mr. Cook, gets 10.
So basically, what you're saying to me is the 1 week that I don't decide to back the team that is playing the Patriots bites me in the arse.
That is the week that you should have gone with your... I know I say it every week, but... That brings us swiftly on to week 14. As previously mentioned, we have no guest. However,
we have no guest.
The Stats Mistress has very kindly offered up her picks for week 14 for your consideration. Game number 1, as it is written here, which is off NFL Pick'ems. If it's not the right order, take it up with them. Cowboys versus the Bears.
Da Bears.
The Stats Mistress has gone Bears. Mr. Cook has gone Bears. Mr. Williams will go with the Cowboys.
Stick me down for the Bears.
Ooh. As a secret Cowboys fan, I would have thought you'd been all over that game.
The Cowboys are absolutely not rewarding me for the faith that I'm showing them, so they can suck a dick.
With next
Suck a big old dick.
Is the Panthers versus the Falcons. This is a hard game to pick because both teams are shit. You know something? I was going to say, it pains me to say it, but I'm going to pick the Panthers. I absolutely pick the Falcons. I don't think the Panthers could find a way out of a paper bag.
I would have picked the Falcons
if I hadn't.
Had the Panthers not just sacked Rivera. Because new guy, new ideas, bit of a prove something wrong, prove them wrong for sacking Rivera. I don't know. So stick me down for a Panthers win.
The Stats Mistress would agree with you. Let's talk Ravens-Bills.
I'm interested by
I'm
this game.
I'm interested in this game a lot.
Because you would imagine it... stick me down for the Ravens. I do think the Ravens will win. The problem is it going to be an absolute
Bloodbath.
bitch fest? In which case, and why they absolutely destroy them. I'll have a quick look. It's in Buffalo, so that could play into the Bills' hands a little bit. Will there be some weather? There'll be a little bit of snow, maybe. Who knows?
So, I always say that the Bills are a bit of a sleeper team. Because nobody ever looks at them.
Certainly have been this season.
But they rarely, they regularly do quite well. You know, they are a team that the Patriots always struggle with, no matter what season you're talking about. They can somehow, you know, they can be like, oh, we lost every game this season, but we beat the Patriots. So that as a team. We've all gone Ravens, but I think it will be a interesting game.
It'll be a good marker of. I mean, it's kind of weird because if the Bills can knock off the Ravens, obviously they'll push themselves further into contention for the potentially winning their division, and therefore being the number 1 or number 2 seed. So, yeah, interesting developments to see.
The next game I've got on my list is the Bungles versus the Browns.
Oh dear.
Now then.
It's in Cleveland.
Now then. The Stats Mistress has suffered some kind of major head trauma and has picked the Bengals.
Well,
I've gone with the Browns.
I'm absolutely picking the Browns, but I was listening to something today where they said down the stretch, there's a couple of teams that people don't want to be playing, or there's a couple of teams you don't want to see on your schedule. The first one's the Bucks, because who knows what's happening with them? Like, you know, Winston could throw 4 interceptions in a game, or he could throw it for like 500 yards. There's no sort of rhyme or reason to what he's doing at the minute.
Yeah.
And the other one was the Bengals, because they've started to put a little bit of something together in the last couple of weeks. So, but yeah, I think the Browns should have just about enough to put them away.
I was watching like the Bengals game, and it was like, you could see that Andy Dalton had clearly come back with something to prove, as you would expect.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like, oh, okay, there's the Andy Dalton that we probably should be seeing.
Pretty much.
So the next game I have on my list is probably an easy one to pick. The Redskins versus the Packers.
Ooh, hefty Packers win.
Absolutely.
That could be a 40 burger, as I believe the phrase goes.
That's Packers across the board. There are no surprises. Broncos, Texans.
Texans.
Interesting.
Big win.
Stats Mistress agrees. Mr. Cook does not. Lions, Vikings.
Vikings should be way too strong for the Lions.
Vikings across the board again. There. Now then. 49ers. Saints.
Wow.
I'm just leaving that there.
It's in New Orleans, so Saints for me.
The Stats Mistress has gone 49ers. I'm with you on this one. I don't...
Can't see the... For me, I can't see the Saints losing again. Potentially between now and the end of the season.
No,
So
I think...
Make of that what you will.
I think that's probably tied up for them.
Oh, at this point now, though, if someone said to you, Saints, Ravens, Super Bowl, tasty.
That's Peter.
Indeed it is.
Okay. Dolphins, Jets, the game that nobody wants to see.
So, at the moment, I have Ryan Fitzpatrick as my starting
I
fantasy
saw that.
quarterback.
I was like...
So,
what
I kind of need a big game from him there. The Jets, who knows? They are so hit and miss at the minute. Just give us it again. Was it Dolphins Jets or was it Jets Dolphins?
Dolphins Jets.
So it's in New York.
It is.
Yeah, stick me down for the Jets.
Interesting. Me and the Stats Mistress have gone the other way. Colts Buccaneers. Stats Mistress has gone Colts. Mr. Cook's gone Buccaneers.
In Tampa?
It would suggest so, yes.
Yeah, stick me down for the Bucks.
Mm.
They've started to put a little bit of form together, which obviously means that they'll probably shit the bed because people are starting to pick them for stuff.
Yeah. Chargers, Jaguars. I'm going Chargers, which I very rarely say.
Minshew Mania, baby. Jags.
Really?
Although they do look... They kind of need someone just to sort of put them out of their misery for the season, because they're just awful to watch.
Yeah, they are. Stats from Mr. went Chargers. Steelers versus the Cardinals.
Steel curtain, baby.
That is across the board on that one. Chiefs, Patriots. Oof.
The only thing saving the Pats in this one is the fact that it's at home. And I still don't think that's enough. Chiefs win.
I don't think it's enough. It's Chiefs across the board here. That laces out. Titans, Raiders.
Titans.
Stats Mistress agrees with you, but she doesn't agree with me. Raiders, baby. The Seahawks versus the Rams.
Is that Monday night?
No, because we've got another game left.
Oh, so it's the Sunday night game.
End of the Sunday night.
Did you say Seahawks Rams? So it's in LA.
In LA.
I still think the Seahawks will win.
Yeah, it's
Tough game though.
Across the board. It'll be an interesting game in some ways. And your final game of the week, another nobody cares, Giants versus the Eagles.
Oh dear God.
Oh dear Lord, no.
Eagles, but again, who really cares?
Who cares? It's Eagles across the board here at Laces Out. I believe that brings us to the end, unless you have anything.
Andrew, I have nothing.
I don't have anything at this point in time. The games are heating up, kids. Fantasy-wise.
We're getting into the juicy part of the season. Juicy.
Things like, NFC. These things are getting thrown around and filled in.
I didn't even have a look, actually,
Champions.
to see. In fact, we won't call it there.
No.
What I'll do is I'll have a quick look at what the league situation is looking like, because I wonder if there's any clinching situations or clinching scenarios from this week. Let's have a look. Playoff picture. Regular season, that's what we're looking for. So, regular season. So, the Bills are one game behind the Patriots, so there's no clinching there. The Ravens are 3 games ahead of the Steelers. So in theory, if the Steelers win... No, scratch that. If the Ravens win and the Steelers lose, the Ravens will clinch the AFC North.
Mm-hmm.
Texans are too close to the Titans. Chiefs are too close to the Raiders. So there's nothing there. The NFC East is just a fucking dumpster for you, so nothing there. Packers are only a game ahead of the Vikings. The Saints have already won the NFC South.
Yeah, that's locked in.
And the Seahawks and Niners have got the same record. I mean, the Rams are only 3 games back. So it's not out of the realms of possibility that they could still claw their way back in. I know there's only 4 games left, but stranger things have happened. Just the Ravens, by the looks of it, are the only ones who can clinch. So it's not actually that exciting.
Yeah.
The week after might be a bit more open.
Like I say, I get that thing where I'm very much like, oh man, it's so exciting, but then I'm also like, oh, but I don't want the season to end.
There was a thing they covered on Red Zone, I think it was maybe a couple of weeks ago, where they were like, we've reached at some point during the start of the 9 o'clock games, we'll have reached the exact midway point of the season. And it was like, it's all downhill from here. Mm-hmm. It's like, no! But there you go. Enjoy it while it lasts, kids.
Do enjoy it while it lasts.
And thank you once again for joining us on this merry dance through the world of the National Football League. Until next week. Keep them laces out.
Keep the laces out. So there we go. What do you think to that? Another one done. How are you getting on in your fantasy league? Are you winning? Are you going to the playoffs? Check out what happens in our playoff season in the next few weeks. YouTube watchers, make sure you're YouTube subscribers. Everybody jump over to the Cookiecast.com. Check us out over there. Send us some love. So there we go. Join us next week where there'll be more NFL and more of the fantasy and the playoffs. Until next week, I'll say bye and I'll see you then. Bye.